Hey, Daily Dosers. My name is Natalie, and I work on the Vista campus with the young adults. And today, as we're talking about love and loving God in this week of Valentine's Day, I was thinking about Valentines and little trinkets and gifts that we get from people that love us. Specifically, I have 2 kids, and I think about these little gifts that I've gotten over the years. And if I think way, way back to the years before they really could hold a crayon, and I was given a Valentine from their 2-year-old Sunday school class, and it was already all this work that a teacher did to print out the heart on it and write their name on it, and then they squeezed a crayon in their hand and they scribbled on it and handed that to me with big eyes, like this was the moment for me to treasure this thing that they made just for me. And if I just received that and just chucked it in the trash, how crushed they would be in that moment. That we all know, because of how we felt when we've given a gift, that the right response from someone that you care about giving you something is to sit with something, to hold it, to treasure it, to cherish it, and to admire it, and to look at it from all angles. We continue to talk about it because it's so great. Even that dumb picture that's just like one scribble with a red crayon, and how much hurt that would cause if we did just set that aside. And carrying that on to gifts that you might have gotten from a loved one, a friend that did something really thoughtful this week, or a spouse that did something romantic. But if our attitudes towards it were to just take what they'd given and just set it aside and continue on with our lives as if it hadn't happened, how much of a stop that would be to the intimacy, to the love, to the connection with that person if we didn't cherish those things. And it's made me think a lot about how we can love God, and a lot of that being just being in His presence. Entering into His presence with that same kind of intentionality to cherish it, to hold it, that we would do with any other gift. So with that, I wanted to go to John 3:16, which is the verse that's simple and very Sunday school, but it goes like this. For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish, but have eternal life. And it goes on, for God did not send His Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through Him. That if God moved heaven and earth, went to such great lengths to just receive us, to have us be allowed to be in His presence, not to any longer be objects of His wrath, deserving death, but instead being covered with Christ's righteousness, and then just standing before Him justified, that we get to just be in God's presence, that is such a gift. That is the ultimate gift that He's given us. And I think so often about my life and how quickly I actually pass through His presence, or I forget to just sit and be present with Him. That we're so often, innocently enough, so much more consumed with the busyness of life, the things that we feel like we need to do, commitments that we've made, catching up on things that we're behind in, that there's this sense of urgency or striving, or even spiritually maybe there's a lot of shame and remorse for things in the past, and we sometimes aren't living in the present, we're living in the past. Or we're hoping to outrun our past, or thinking about the next year or the next week or the next month, and we live in worry for the future. And therefore, we're not experiencing God in the future. We're not actually there. We're just feeling the worry for it, and therefore He doesn't get to love us in that. He just wants to love us right here, right now, where we are. And so I think something that I've been challenged with this week, to think about, how can I just be with God in His presence, to not move ahead, to not be somewhere other than where I am, and receive what He's given me, cherish it, sit with it, and then begin to see what God begins to stir in my heart. Where would He ask me to move, to love the people that He loves, to do the things that are on His heart? I really don't receive that until I've just sat in His presence and cherished it and adored it. And so I hope this weekend that you do that you just sit and be in God's presence. And I'm sure there'll be a million opportunities and temptations to rush out ahead of it or to be afraid of it. But He's already promised that He's done all the work to invite us into it. And that's all that He wants to do. He wants to share His presence with us. So this weekend, I hope that we get to do that a little bit more. And next week, we'll be back with more on how to love and love others.